What is up, everyone? Welcome once again to my channel, and today let's get on for another round of the Chicane Online Racing League Season 6 round number 3 here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And so I think everyone's getting ready, the lobby is kicking off, so let's get ourselves going with the track introduction. Here we are today, racing at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the 14 corners and 4.3 kilometer layout located in a man-made island in the middle of the St. Lawrence River has held some of the most exciting races in F1 history, and today is sure to not disappoint. The turns 1, 3, 8, 10 and 14 are going to probably be popular spots for close racing and some overtaking action. The proximity to the walls is waiting to punish the undisciplined, and the weather could also, as always, play some tricks on the drivers today. As you guys saw last season, we got Sloppy McFloppy, the eventual championship winner, getting the top step of the podium. Vane came home in P2, Fish Paste claimed P3 after starting on pole. For today we have the Hypersofts, Ultrasofts and Supersofts available to us, and I can I just got a message saying that it will be both dry sessions in both qualifying and the race. So everything is going to be ready for a good qualifying session and hopefully for a good race. Talking about the tires, again, Hypersofts, Ultrasofts and Supersofts available to us today, as we have the popular strategies of Supersofts, Ultrasofts, pitting at lap 20 or 21 if you start on the red walled Supersofts. If you go to the purple walled Ultrasofts at the start, you have to pit at about lap 12, lap 13, lap 14 to make sure you can take the tires to the end. So let's see how it goes, as the people are already getting their first laps in qualifying. Let's get ourselves to the standings. As you can see, after Spain, Recyclefin is the leader with 52 points, 2 race wins in a row in the first 2 races. Swiffer is in P2. After a great display as Spain is in second with 35 points, 3 more than Calipos, the best of the Ferrari drivers, in third, followed by GC Fungus, as El Nabu, the best of the McLarens, in fifth with 16 points, 2 points ahead of a 3-way tie between COR Leclerc, Alabama and Marcel Leboeuf. Marcel Leboeuf has had the curious case of rather weird inconsistency, because every single race he disconnects within the first 5 laps and then comes back and finishes 7th place. That happened in both races so far this season. Let's see if it happens a third time. Then we have Vane in 9th with 11 points, and Kosia closes the top 10, tied with COR Bottas, both with 5 points. Moving to the constructor standings, we have Toro Rosso leading the championship with 55 points, followed by Ferrari with 37, 2 points more than Alfa Romeo, as McLaren gets 4th with 30 points so far in this season, and Renault completes the top 5 with 25 points to their name. Then we have Mercedes in 6th with 20 points, followed by Williams and Haas, both with 6 points to their name. Then we have the Silverstone-based Force India, or currently Racing Point, with 5 points, and with a lone point is the Red Bull team in last place. So hopefully they're going to convert that into a better luck today, which I actually don't know. No, I believe, yeah, both of their tires are not taking part in today's race, and the reserve isn't racing for the Red Bull team. So yeah, really the Red Bull won't be improving anything today, which is unfortunate. Let me just get rid of some of my stuff real quick so we can get back on the menus. And as you guys can see, we have a couple of times posted already, as it is Calipos with a 1:8.4 leading the time sheets with the Hypersoft tires on him. So that is surprising to me, unless he went very slow at the end, so we can improve on a lap on the Ultrasofts. And Willie P already retired. He didn't post a lap yet. I don't know if he crashed or what happened, but Willie P is out of the session. COR Leclerc as well. So that's going to be interesting. Willie P is going to be starting from the back, unfortunately for him. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Calipos was just not giving it full power through that lap, and if he's going to try to improve on a set of Ultrasofts, or if he's actually going to start on the Hypers. Of course, if you start on the Hypers, you have no choice but do a two-stop race. You have the one-stopper in this track, I believe, to be much faster. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers range in terms of their tire strategy. Now, just taking a look at COR Bottas, it looks like he's about to finish his flying lap. He's about to come to turns number 13 and 14. We have yellow flags somewhere, no idea why, but we have Bottas is going to cross over the line, and he gets 4th place, 9.7 on the Ultrasofts. So there you have it. Not too shabby, not too shabby from the Haas driver, but let's get ourselves down the order. Let me see, someone that is on his outlap, possibly. Yeah, we have Weasley. We have Weasley in the Williams. He finished 9th in Australia and finished 11th in Spain. He got a very good qualifying at Spain, but unfortunately the race was just a disaster for him. He opted for the two-stopper, but then he got involved in traffic, and yeah, he just couldn't get his rhythm the entire day. He also made a mistake into the last sector, dropped him lots of places. As looks like Willie P might have disconnected. He rejoined the lobby. I don't know if he's going to be able to take part of qualifying, but well, that's very unfortunate for him. But yeah, as I was saying, Weasley had a very disappointing race at Spain. He's surely going to be looking to bounce back here today. William, welcome to the live stream. How are you doing, man? Can everyone join this league? Yes, you just have to sign up. I could get you in contact with the moderators if you want. We run the league through a Discord server. You can look it up and find it easily. But yeah, if you want, send me some sort of message on Twitter or something, and I'll get you in contact with the moderators. So we have Weasley about to begin his sector 3. Out of turn 10 he goes. Now, it's a very long straight. DRS wide open as we get through the right kink. That is officially turn 12. Now it's going to be heavy on the brakes right after the 100-meter marker, clipping the curbs nice and easily, and it's going to cross over the line, and it's going to be a 9.7. Pretty good lap considering he was on the Red Wall Super Softs. So very well done from the Williams driver. His teammate is currently in 7th on a set of Hypersofts. I'm pretty sure a 110 on Hypersofts is not going to start the race on those. So that's how it is. Let's get ourselves to Magnet. He hasn't had the best of seasons so far, unfortunately for him. 14th in Australia and 16th in Spain. Let's see how it goes now as he approaches turn 1. You brake about that white patch on the grass as you prepare for the left-right combination of turns 1 and 2. Now you go slightly uphill, up through the gears. It's very tricky to get the traction right as you now go downhill into corners 3 and 4. Flat out through 5, and then you have right in your face turn 6. You have to brake at about 70 meters away from it, clip the curb, but not too harshly. It might unsettle the car because the inside of that curb is quite high. DRS wide open once again as we prepare for corner number 7 and 8, I believe. Nice and smooth on the exit. He could have been a bit quicker on entry, I believe, but he was very smooth on the exit, down through the Rolex sign and approach turn 10, smooth on the braking, getting wider than he probably desired, but he was smooth on the exit, just clipping the curb at the outside of 11. Now through 12, DRS wide open, up through the gears, about 340 kilometers per hour as you approach the braking zone. 100 meters from this right-left combination, you must keep your car off the wall of champions to the right-hand side, and then keep yourself to the right to minimize the run into the line as he gets 10th with a 110.7. So I don't believe that to be the greatest lap ever from him, so he's sure going to try to improve on that. At least he's still currently in 10th place, so it's not too bad from him. Let's jump to the Ferrari of Grosjean. I'm pretty sure he's just starting his flying lap. Let's see how the Lithuanian does, as he finished 8th in Australia after a great qualifying for the number 13. He qualified in the first couple rows. He was able to challenge the eventual race winner into turn 1, but after that his race got really complicated. He couldn't best 8th place finish at Albert Park, and then as we moved on to Spain, he had a massive crash as he was battling in a midfield train of at least 5 cars. He was battling from 5th to 10th, I believe, something along those lines, and just coming out of camps at turn 9 at Spain, he just lost the rear, slammed into the inside wall, and it was it for the Ferrari driver. So unfortunately that's how it goes. But yeah guys, by the way, in chat, let me know what are your predictions for the qualifying and the race today. Of course, Scotia just started the lap, or his previous flying lap got invalidated, I don't know, but he's going to give it one more run, I believe. But yeah, today we have Recycle Finn. Of course, he's been demolishingly quick for the first 2 races, but for the first time this season we have Sloppy McFloppy, the Sauber driver, the champion of last season. He won over 80% of the races he took a part of last season, so he's definitely very quick. Let's see how it goes, what kind of performance we'll see from the defending world champion here today in Canada. William, if you tweet me now, yeah, after the transmission, after the broadcast of this race, I can get you in contact with the moderators. So yeah, no problem about that. Send me a message on Twitter. Okay, so here we have Kosia through turns number 13 and 14. There's some debris. There have been some victims of the Wall of Champions as the Ferrari crosses over the line with the best time so far, 1:08.4. So it's provisorily, it's only virtually provisorily, but we have currently the situation of a 1-2 finish start for the Ferrari team. Of course, as you can see, Kosia beat Kalipos time, so Kalipos is very likely to not start the race on a set of hypersofts. So yeah, let's see how that goes though. Moving to another car, let's see. We have Elton, we have the Dane. Sorry, not the Dane. The driver is from Norway, not Denmark. I apologize for that. But he hasn't had the best of seasons as well. 11th in Australia, 15th at Spain. So he hasn't scored any points so far. So unfortunately for him, not the greatest start of the season, but hopefully he has been practicing and is going to improve his fate in the races to come. He's currently on a set of ultra softs, as you can see the purple sides of the purple sidewalls on those Pirelli, letting us know what kind of compound he has fitted on his car, as the 88 had a minor lockup into turn 10, but a smooth exit. Let's see how it goes. I don't believe though, is he about to finish his flying lap? I'm not sure. He's giving it way too much power though, for someone that's not on a flying lap. So I'm guessing this is him about to finish his flying lap, as he's going to cross over the line, and it's going to be 8th place. 1:09.4, so not too bad. He's currently in the top 10, which is an improvement considering his past form. But let's see how it develops until the end of the session. We have less than 5 minutes to go, and you are getting with the defending world champion in this season's debut, as we follow the Sauber of the American driver through the downhill corners of turns 3 and 4, flat out through 5 once again, and then looking for the black box on the right side of the track. That's your braking zone for corner number 4. A bit of a tap on the wall. Don't know if he got any damage from that, but that's sure going to get him some extra tenths at the end of the lap, which are not invited So let's see how that goes and how that adds up at the end, as Recycle Finn just did exactly the same time as Scotia for the lead of the timetables. Look at that, 1:08, 4:01, exactly the same time. I thought that F1 Rules was the person that claimed the time first would get on top, but for some reason we have Recycle Finn on pole at the moment. Don't know why, but that's how it goes, as McFloppy is going to cross over the line with a 1:08.1 as he claims the top time on the standings. Yes, it was on Hypersofts, but he's still our pole sitter so far. Now, let's move down to, I don't know, Vane. I believe he got a podium, or at least he got a good qualifying year last season, but I believe he got involved in a collision with Swiffer, so maybe he's going to get his luck improved this season, and let's see how he does, as he's on a set of Ultrasofts at the moment. Once again, downhill through 3 and 4. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. He definitely has good pace. Let's see what he does. He has a previous lap time of 1:08.7. Let's see as he gets the DRS open once again out of turn 7. And is going to get the sector 2 time after turn 8 and 9. Yes, 8 and 9. As we go flat out until the braking zone of turn 10. 19.5. The game doesn't tell me if he's improving on his previous laps or not, which is a bit of a shame. We cannot really monitorize that. Recycle Finn has already gotten off the session, so he's not really going to improve any more than that. Whatever he gets with that time is whatever he's going to start the race with. He's committed to that one. Vane very cleanly through the exit of the last chicane and gets himself before with a 1:08.4. Can't really see. Let's take a look at the McLaren of El Nabu, who's also starting his flying lap, I believe. Yeah, it looks like he's exploring the revs quite a bit, so yeah, he is pushing for a lap time. He's currently in 6th place. His previous lap was on the Hypersofts, and I believe he's on the Hypersofts again. So, again, it's going to be quite interesting to see the drivers that go on the Hypersofts. Maybe they are trying to go Hypersoft, Supersoft. But, I mean, if you start on the Ultrasofts, you have to pit at about lap 12. If you start on the Hypers, you must be pitting at about lap 8. So, no longer doesn't really matter how much you can manage the Supersofts. I don't think you can take the Supersofts for 25 laps, but I've seen stranger things happen, so that's how you go. As we have El Nabu flat out through the back stretch into the last chicane. Beware the Wall of Champions, he's already claimed someone here today, as we have some debris there. He gave it a tap, but was able to get away with it, and he crosses over the line and gets himself not an improvement, I don't think, 1:08.4, and I'm not sure if he improved on that lap or not. He's going to give it another go. Maybe he had fuel for 2 flying laps. Looks like he has enough ERS. As you can see, the total ERS in that blue bar on the screen, that's on the display, that's located on his steering wheel. It looks like he has enough ERS. That was a bit of a harsh transition there between turn 6 and 7. So let's see how he does, as he looks for the braking marker, that is that overpass into turns number 8 and 9. A bit of a wall tap at the exit of the chicane. 100 meters away is when you start braking. He clips the apex nice. But yeah, he looked like a bit slow on exit. Maybe that was a bit of lag on my part. A Sloppy McFloppy still leading the timesheets with a 1:08.1 on the Hypersoft tires. That's what El Nabu does through this chicane. He's going to try to cut it as much as he can. Obviously, Scotia gets another time on the pole, 1:07.9. And El Nabu gets a 1:08.4. It doesn't improve, and he's going to be starting from P6. Okay, William, I will respond to you after the stream. Don't worry, man. I will. So, I'm getting experience just for spectating the race, which is great. It's always helpful. But looking at the official results, there you have it. Kosia with the lead, followed by Sloppy McFloppy Calipos in P3, as Vane in P4, Recycle Finn in P5, El Nabu in 6th, calling in 7th after it's a great qualifying performance from the British driver. Swiffer is in 8th, Elton in 9th, and COR Bottas in the best of the Haas drivers, closing the top 10. So as you guys can see on the top right corner, the next session is about to begin. So let's get ourselves through the loading procedures, and then we are going to get ourselves started with the race, right? So again, I've been told that there is no rain forecasted for today's race. It might be cloudy. We weren't given that information if it was cloudy or not, but at least rain won't interfere with the driver's plans, which is going to be interesting because again, some people are going to start on the hypersoft tires. I'm really interested in seeing how long they are going to take those tires and how many stops they are going to make the strategy work. I believe that if you start on the hypersofts, you won't have any possibilities of doing a one stop. It's always going to be a two stop. By the way, LGS, I'm going to stream NASCAR tomorrow because we are having F1 today. But yeah, everyone is getting out of their grid marks for the formation lap. Lots of tires cooking there, as you guys could see from the clouds of smoke. But yeah, I'm hoping that they are going on a two-stop, the hypersoft starters, but they are going to try and take advantage of the superior traction of the hypersofts compared to every other compound available in today's race to pull away. And if they can pull away, maybe they can nullify the disadvantage they put themselves in by pitting once more. Or they can just be wizards of tire management and get themselves from hypers to super softs. That's why it's so interesting. So I'm really excited to see how everything will pan out. Now we have Kosia leading the pack, followed by McFloppy, Scalipos and Vane are the occupiers of the second row. Recycle Finn is going to get himself in P5, so it's going to be interesting. He is starting, is not the best, is actually second place out of the people that qualified on the Ultrasofts, but he was also second place in Spain out of the people that qualified in order to make the one-stop work for them. So it didn't stop him last time around. Last time around he was still able to take the win. He was very good on the start, and he took at least 2 places into the first couple corners. So Recycle Finn has had very good starts this season. Let's see how it goes for him, as we have people just lining themselves up on the grid. The camera isn't really helping much, but yeah, that would be helpful. So, everyone is lined up, no further delays. Let's wait for everyone to get ready, as we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix. Looks like McFloppy got a better start than Kosia, as Calipos is pressurized by Vane to turn 1. We have Recycle Finn getting the inside of El Nabu, as El Nabu is pressurized from both sides, as we get ourselves to turns 1 and 2. Calipos gets a good launch. Recycle Finn gets himself up to P5. El Nabu in P6. There's a bit of corner cutting there from the Ferrari, as the Finn gets himself up to P4. Vane is in P3 again. It's going to be a battle between those two drivers for who gets the better placement on the Ultrasoft starters. He was challenged there, as it is in the wall. Recycle Finn is in the wall at the exit of turn 6. What a shame from him, and he's left the session. I don't know if he disconnected or if he just rage quitted or something. I don't know if he believes his car is done. He could get back on the track and keep racing, just going to the pits for a replacement of front wing. But unfortunately for him, that was a disastrous race start from the championship leader, and exactly what every other driver needed to get themselves closer to contending for that championship lead. So you still have Kosia, followed by Sloppy McFloppy, already pulling away from Vane, as we have El Nabu in P4. We have Calipos, Swiffer, calling someone who was very sideways on that wall. I don't know exactly who it was. It looked to me like a Haas, but whoever it was has already recovered. I'm really sorry, I couldn't really catch who that was. I believe it was Marcel Leboeuf, as I'm going to get myself on the... Yes, he is the one who crashed into the Wall of Champions. as we have a battle between Taxi Tundra and Leclerc, and there's people on the wall again. We have Willie P in the wall. I don't know if that's lag or something is very wrong with Leclerc as he also disconnected. Yeah, that was probably lag, because I'm pretty sure he wasn't on top of a Mercedes. So yeah, that's how it goes. Recycle Finn is Ghost anyways, he's in the pits for a change of tires and off front wing. We are still looking at Kosia in the lead of the race, comfortably leading. He's trying to pull away from McFloppy as Vane is leading this train 1 second, just over 1.5 seconds away from El Nabu, as the Portuguese driver of the McLaren sits in fourth, also with a considerable distance to Calipos. DRS is not available just yet, only after the start of the third lap. Sloppy McFloppy beats Kosia for the fastest lap of the race so far, and as you can get from race control, the notification that DRS has been enabled. Now COR Leclerc has rejoined the lobby. Let's see if Sloppy McFloppy is close enough to challenge Kosia at this upcoming DRS zone right after this right-hander. Sorry about that, as Colin gets himself already a 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits, and Sloppy McFloppy doesn't really have anything on the leader of the races. There's a teammate battle between Marcel Leboeuf and COR Bottas. Leboeuf, I wouldn't say he's a teammate, he's more of a mercenary perhaps. He's our reserve driver, so he just picked whatever car he wanted, and is currently ahead of the official Haas driver as Bottas gets dropped down to P10. But I'm still very interested in that battle for the lead. Kosia looks like he's too far away for Floppy to challenge him. So let's drop back to Calipos, who started himself in P3, has dropped to P5 unfortunately for him. I believe he was involved in the contact with Recycle Finn that took Finn out of the race. Again, I don't know if Finn disconnected after the crash or if he just rage quitted or what, because he could still get back and still try to save some points out of this race. It would be tricky, but he could do that still. As we have Bottas in the pits, he might be going for a change of front wing. He's also going for a set of the super soft tires. As we are keeping ourselves moving down the order to take a look at someone that might be in position for a battle. As we have Shit Magnet really close to the back of that Mercedes. The Norwich that's a word, right? The Norwich driver, or at least the driver from Norway, had a very poor 6 and 7 sequence there. And Magnet also had to lift off to avoid going into the back of that Mercedes. At least the Mercedes keeps himself ahead at the moment. But yeah, that Mercedes doesn't look like he's very composed within the track limits. So he's sure going to be getting a penalty if he doesn't step back on that. Now, getting back to the front, the gap has shortened drastically, and as you guys can see, Sloppy is right on the gearbox of the Ferrari, so we are going to get jumping to the cockpit cam, not the cockpit cam, but on board with the American driver. And again, he really needs this win. He didn't take part of the first two races. Unfortunately, Recycle Finn had a crash at the start. We can't really see a showdown between the man who's been having the greatest start of the season of them all and the man who won more than 80% of the races he took a part of last season. So yeah, it would be interesting to see. Unfortunately, we can't see that today, but still Kosia is trying to defend himself valiantly against the charge of Sloppy McFloppy. The American has the slipstream, is going to have ERS, is probably going to get a higher engine mode, or at least is going to have more power, or going to have a more efficient use of the power available to him as they are side by side into the last chicane, and Sloppy McFloppy gets easily through. Kosia really had nowhere to go. It's not smart really to try to force and defend your way into the chicane, but that slows down you a lot. That's why he's already lost over a second to that Sauber, unfortunately for the Lithuanian. But still, considering he had disastrous starts of races in the past Grand Prix, he's going to be happy with at least being in second place at the moment, and with himself being clean in terms of involvement in collisions. or any sort of other trouble. Vane in P3 got the 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits, unfortunately for him. El Nabu is still just over 1 second, so at least at the moment Vane looks like he's on a bit of no man's land, as it looks like LeBuff, I just got a notification that LeBuff joined the session. Did he disconnect for the 3rd time this season? Is he going to finish 7th again? If he disconnects again and finishes 7th again, I swear I'm going to lose my mind. As we got Weasley and the notification that he got a 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. Kosha clawed back a bit of the gap, and as you guys can see, Sloppy is in the pits. Oh my god, I'm trying to catch him. And Kalipos is also entering the pits. So some of the Hypersoft runners are in the pits, as the number 99 is going to get himself a set of the super soft tires according to the screen. Yes, we have a super soft set of tires in Mafloppy's car. It's going to be interesting to see if he can take these tires to the end, or if he's going to pit stop once more for a set of Hypersofts late in the race. I'm actually quite interested in that strategic part of his race. He's done well to catch Kosha and take the lead. Let's see how it goes. Speaking of Kosha, he just got a 3-second time penalty, so he was pushing to keep up with Sloppy. And speaking of Sloppy, it was Kosha who, not very disciplined within the track limits, got himself served a 3-second time penalty, as Kalipos gets out of the pits after his pit stop. And he is in 10th, it came out in 11th, just overtook the Frenchman of the Williams, Taxi Tundra, and is in 10th place. As you guys can see, he opted for a set of Ultra Softs. So it's going to be interesting to see. He definitely has to make another pit stop, because he went from Hypers to Ultras. If he went to Super Softs, maybe he could be a wizard of tire conservation. But if he's going for a Super Soft, it looks to me like he's going to be doing a Hyper Ultra strategy. If he keeps himself in fresh air, in clean air as he is at the moment, so he can put up those faster laps than the competition that are on older or older or harder tires. If he can manage those quick lap times, he's going to jump lots of cars through the pit strategy and maybe be contesting for a podium. Of course, he's going to have to pit once more than everybody else around him, but he's going to be able to be very competitive at the end of the race. So let's see how that develops for him. Now, Sloppy McFloppy is catching up to Weasley in the Williams. He might actually go for an overtake before turn 10, and there he goes, side by side, tires locked up on both cars, but the Sauber gets through. And I don't know if the Sauber got through the detection zone behind. Yes, he did, so he's going to benefit from the RS. And there he goes, he's going to start pulling away from the Williams, as we have Kosha in the pits. He's going to come out of the pits. Sloppy McFloppy put up some faster laps. He dealt with traffic, but he got himself the RS and gets past Kosha. Kosha is going to come out of the pits further behind. Of course, the American has to take the turns 1 and 2 complex, but Kosha is currently, I would say, at least 2 seconds behind the Sauber, with that Williams in the middle of them. So let's see how that goes. LGS asked me in chat who I think is going to finish 7th this time around. I'm betting my cards on Marcel. He came back, he's doing a good race, he kept himself out of trouble. He could very well get himself P7 this time around, as you have yellow flags in Sector 3, but I don't see anyone changing positions. Oh, maybe it was Magnets. No, he's in the first sector, so I don't know, as Bottas gets a 3-second time penalty. Willie P got overtaken by Kalipos, as Kalipos has not older, softer, but younger tires. And Marcel left the session, so I'm guessing he disconnected again. Oh my god, that Zelnabu gets himself a 3-second time penalty. He's not going to be really happy with that, Willie, in his McLaren, as Kosha in the meantime overtook Weasley. Weasley is going to try to keep himself on the slipstream, try to ride this mini train, if you can call it that, and try to get himself some quicker laps to improve his position at the end of the pit stops for everyone. Maybe himself got closer to Colin, who's the driver. He seems like he's battling for position at the moment. It looks like he's more than 5 seconds behind, but every second counts, especially if Colin gets some penalties, which I believe he already has. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one develops as well. Now, oh boy, Weasley was on the wall there. Hopefully he didn't get any sort of wing damage. The camera angle didn't really help me to see if he has damage or not. So, yeah, that's how it is. Now we have jumped to this little train from 2nd to 4th. It's Alnabo leading it, followed by Swifter and Colin. Colin is going to have the prime seat in the house for a possible battle between the Sauber and the McLaren. As Colin himself got the RS, but is not close enough to try anything. And he cut himself the last chicane too hard. So I believe that is the second 3-second time penalty for the British driver, unfortunately. If he was racing for position with Weasley, those 2 penalties, even though Weasley is at least 8 seconds behind, that got him much closer to the Force India than he would have hoped for. Now, we are still looking at the battle between those 2 cars ahead. As we approach turn 6, the Sauber had a look at the inside but couldn't make none of that. I'm sure he's going to get a better exit though, because he got a tighter entry into turn 6, a better exit out of 7 because he got wider. He was probably able to get the throttle down earlier, but great defending there from El Nabo to prevent any overtaking attempt. Swiffer is now going to get, yes, he just got past the Rolex sign behind the Portuguese, so he's going to attempt an overtake into turn 10. He's going on the inside, the Portuguese goes around the outside, they are still side by side on the exit, and it's going to be a drag race up until the last chicane. Swiffer is going to have DRS on El Nabo. Colin is going to have DRS as well, so El Nabo is going to have to defend very fiercely into the last chicane. Now he opts to go for the pits as Colin and Swiffer get through and get themselves to P2 and P3. So El Nabo just decided to not take a part of that battle, not lose any more time battling. He knows that his battle isn't with these 2 cars, so it just goes into the pits and gets himself a brand new set of tires, which I'm looking at the graphic is battling, he just fitted a set of super soft tires. So he's going to try and take those to the end. According to the one stop, this was the perfect time for him to pit. The window opens in lap 12 round to lap 14 is the ideal spot. After that you start losing time, I would say. So yeah, just bang on textbook time to pit stop from El Nabo. He still comes out of the pit in the top 10. So hopefully he can get himself, he has over 2-second gap to Marcel Leboeuf. So if he can manage the undercut on Swiffer and Colin, that would be great for him. In the meantime, we have Sloppy McFloppy. He got overtaken by Kosia, and I'm sorry guys, I missed that one. And I don't know how that happened, because Sloppy was quite far ahead, so maybe a mistake into some corner. Maybe he got end plate damage and is slowly losing time. Let's try. This is going to be a good shot. No, it doesn't look like he has any damage to his front wing, so maybe it was just a driving mistake from the Sauber driver. And Kosia just goes, thank you very much, and gets by. Of course, Kosia is on the ultra soft, so in terms of pace, he's going to be quicker than the Sauber driver. But if Kosia is going for a hyper ultra strategy, looks like Sloppy is going for a hyper, super soft, and then hyper soft again. So late in the race is going to be quicker than Kosia, and that's apparently the battle for the win. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that goes, as both Kosia and Sloppy McFloppy just got past Colin, as they are basically gaining an entire pit stop on the Force India driver. No one is close enough for any overtaking action at the moment, I don't think. Kosia is closing in on Swiffer though. I don't know if Swiffer isn't going to try to benefit his teammate and try to hold up Kosia as much as he can. So we will be here to see, hopefully. So yeah, just taking a look at Svein, who gets in the pits, and he gets a set. It looks like he had a stop and go penalty. It took a while. Oh no, that was just lag for me. It took a while to get off of his marks in the pit lane, but yeah, it looked like it was just lag. He's going to be racing Weasley at the exit of the pits, And he gets himself ahead, he gets himself in P5. Weasley is at least a second behind, so he's comfortable and is on his way. Let's see how he develops his pace throughout the next few laps. As we have Swiffer just dropped by Kosha as he lets Sloppy through as well. So he didn't try to really benefit his teammate by holding up Kosha, or maybe Kosha just didn't give him that chance. But yeah, the truth is that Kosha is back in the lead of the race. Sloppy McFloppy, as are the tires. His pace is going to be slightly slower, but don't count him out just yet, because towards the end of the race he's going to have a softer compound than the Ferrari driver. Now, going down the order, just taking a look at some driver that might be close to a rival. We have Marcel Leboeuf, less than half a second to Calipos in front of him. Calipos has already pitted once. I don't think Marcel Leboeuf has pitted yet. The Sloppy McFloppy gets himself a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help his cause to fight for the win. At least he's on par with Kosha now. But let's see how that goes towards the end. If anyone gets any more penalties, so they might be in trouble. Swiffer gets himself on the pits. He's going to get himself out of them in, it looks like, 9th place. El Nabu jumped him. So El Nabu has 3 laps older tires, but Swiffer got overtaken by him. So let's see if he regains any time to the Portuguese. The gap is apparently 3.2 seconds at the moment. So let's use the quicker out of those two. Calipos is now overtaking Weasley in this DRS zone. I'm sure Marcel Leboeuf also has DRS of his own, and close right up to the back of that Williams. He got a very good exit on the German, and looks like it's going to be a drag race into turn 10. Let's use the last of the late breakers. He goes around the outside. The Williams is not backing down. We saw some smoke there, almost locking up the front right from the German, but very cleanly the Canadian at his home Grand Prix got a pass and is chasing Calipos, who those two at DRS. The Ferrari won't have DRS at his disposal, as the Williams took a bit of a look to the inside of the Haas, but he didn't really go for any sort of overtaking maneuvers. We have Colin into the pits. He's getting on himself a set of super soft tires. He's going to be able to take those until the end of the race, I am sure of. Willie P currently in P9. Weasley as well. Weasley and Willie P haven't pitted yet in this race. You see them in P6 and P9, but they have not pitted yet. They are taking those tires to about lap 20. 2021 is when I would say would be the best time to pit, but once they come out of the pits, they're going to be on fresher tires and also on ultra softs, as everyone else will be, for the majority of cases, on the super softs. So they might still be very competitive. Don't count them out of the top 10. They look like they are being very consistent. They got themselves out of trouble. Weasley has had a bit more of screen time, as he had been involved in some battles. But at the moment, they are doing very well on a chance of solid points paying positions at the end of the race. Moving down to Colin. Sorry, not moving down. Doesn't look like the Haas has anything at the moment. But so jumping to Colin in the Force India is currently closing in on Willie P. Of course, Willie P is going to be struggling, as there was a bit of contact with the Wall of Champions on the exit of the turn 14 from Colin. I don't know if he got any sort of end plates damage. I'm going to try and check through this camera shot. I couldn't see if he got any sort of damage. No, it doesn't look like he has damage. At least one side resembles the other. If he lost end plates on both sides, I cannot tell. So he didn't really overtake Willie P, and looks like he's actually losing time, so he might have damage. The front wing looks quite simplified, so my bet is that he has damage in both sides of the wing. So yeah, he's still not losing too much time to Colin, but that's, sorry, he's not losing too much time to Willie P, but that's majorly due to the DRS assistance. As Willie P maybe got out of shape. Yes, he got out of shape and is in the wall at the exit of the turn 8 and 9 chicane. And unfortunately for Willie P, he's going to have to try... He's going to have to go to the pits. His end plates are severely damaged. So he's going to have to go to the pits as Weasley picks up another 3-second time penalty. He's either going for the Ultrasofts and try to take them to the end, or maybe a ultra soft, hyper soft strategy. Let's see how he adapts to this unexpected occurrence for him, hopefully. That's really heartbreaking. He was really doing a solid race, extending his super soft tires, but unfortunately for him, that's just how it goes. A minor lapse in concentration and he's in the wall, lost a bunch of end plates, and he's going to have to adapt. Let's see how it turns, what he turns this bad situation into. Now, jumping up to the top 5, we have homeboy Marcel Leboeuf following the Ferrari of Calipos. Calipos has basically the same amount of laps on his tires as the Canadian, but the tire compound is different. So Leboeuf might actually have the better tires at this point, because as we know the ultra softs are quicker, but they degrade quicker. So 11 laps into that ultra soft stint, he might actually have worse tire wear than Marcel Leboeuf has. 13 laps into his super soft stint. Let's see how that goes. It didn't look like he was able to pull off anything. It didn't really look like he caught up much to Calipos. So Calipos is having very good pace at the moment. Let's see how this one develops as we are getting ourselves down the order. As we have Weasley and is close to the car in front of him, but no, despite the gap, I thought there might be some battle coming out of this, but no, Weasley hasn't pitted yet. He's the only driver who has not pitted yet, I believe, maybe apart from Bottas, but yeah, he's on his 18th lap on this stint. So yeah, no, Taxi Tundra was the other driver that has not pitted yet. So both Williams are on the exactly same strategy, both 18 laps into this race without any pit stops. Hopefully they don't stack each other, even though I believe they would be far apart enough to not get to not get each other on their teammates' way coming into the pit stops, even if they pitted in the same lap. But yeah, Weasley is visibly losing time by leaps and bounds to the car of Swiffer, who's currently in 7th place. He has been closing in on El Nabu. As you guys can see, he got out of the pit stop 3.2 seconds behind the Portuguese. He already halved that gap, so he's quicker than El Nabu, at least so far into this stint. Let's see how that progresses. That's going to be an interesting fight after some other cars pit. El Nabu and Swifter will be battling for a possible podium, so let's see how that develops from those guys. We also have Leclerc on the back of Taxi Tundra. Of course, he has less than half the laps that the Frenchman already has on his super softs, as they are going side by side into turn 1. Very easy maneuver from Leclerc to pull off, as Magnet gets a 3-second time penalty for extending the track limits, unfortunately for him. Now, just taking a look at the front of the pack, Sloppy McFloppy takes a second 3-second time penalty, so Koshia only has one so far, at least that I've noticed, in terms of the race control messages, and Sloppy McFloppy, at least to my awareness, has 2 of those penalties. So at the moment, Koshia not only is in front in track position, he also is in front in terms of the penalties. He has less time penalties than Sloppy McFloppy. Koshia is going to pit again for ultra softs. Sloppy McFloppy, if he's pitting, is going to probably pit for hyper softs. So that's also going to be an interesting dynamic to see until the end of this Grand Prix. But yeah, just scanning down the order, we have Swiffer already. He closed up by a second in the last lap to the Portuguese and is right on his gearbox as we come out of turn 7. He's going to get to DRS. He didn't get the best of exits, but he's going to get DRS on El Nabu very late on the brakes. It was either very late on the brakes from the Sauber driver, or El Nabu was very early on them, or maybe even some lag, some like wobbliness from the lag that we might be witnessing in my end. Now, let's see how it goes. He's going to have DRS, he's going to have the slipstream. He might have a bit more fuel, a bit more energy, we don't know, but is right on the gearbox of the Portuguese. Let's see how it goes at the entry of this last chicane. All very nice, tidy and clean. No overtaking attempt just yet. And El Nabu lives on to fight another day as they all get promoted to P2 and P3 because we've had the pit stops of Kosia, who comes out in a second set of Ultrasoft. So Kosia opts to mimic McFloppy opts to mimic Kosia's strategy, because I guess you realize Kosia would be out there on a set. Sorry, I'm getting all messed up with my menu buttons. So there you have it, the battle for second place. Yeah, McFloppy, if he carried on the super softs, Kosia would be undercutting him on fresher tires on softer rubber. The margin that he could gain would be potentially too much for Sloppy to recover from, so he decided to pit stop at the same time that Ferrari did. They are both on the ultra soft tires again. We have the Sauber of Swiffer on the back of El Nabu. That was a bit of wobbliness. Fortunately, no contact as we get through the chicane, and the Sauber is through to P2. But yeah, Kosia is currently in front, and he has himself a 3-second lead over Sloppy McFloppy by virtue of having one less 3-second time penalty than the American driver. Scanning down the order, we also have Weasley on brand new tires, fighting off Bottas for the last point spin position. He gets the inside on the Haas driver. The Haas driver still gets himself through the corner. That's going to cost them both a lot of time, but props to Bottas to not lose control of the car. Weasley as well. Both of them kept it clean. Besides, it's very hard to keep itself side by side through there, but they kept it clean. Nonetheless, Bottas could not avoid the Williams getting through to P9. Jumping to Kosia, who's battling with El Nabu on the approach to turn 10, and he got the position done even before the start of the braking zone, so the Ferrari zooms by and is going to be up once again right on the back of Swiffer. He's going to have DRS, Swiffer won't have DRS, so maybe this could be the second overtake in the same sector for Kosia. Let's see about that. Elton got the 3-second time penalty, El Nabu and Swiffer both getting penalties as well. And there we have Kosia on the back of Swiffer. He gets the inside line into turn 1. And now Swifter defending quite hard there. And Kosia just had nowhere to go. He actually cuts the corner a bit too hard there. Maybe he got a warning for that one. It didn't seem like he got a penalty, so probably a warning. And Swiffer is going to be under charge from Kosia. Sloppy McFloppy is still over a second behind El Nabu, so looks like McFloppy is not as comfortable on the ultra soft tires as the Ferrari driver is, and it's starting to show. Swiffer did his best efforts to hold Kosia behind him, but they have Sloppy as El Nabu and Swiffer between him and the first place. Not only Sloppy has to get himself past the Ferrari, but he also has to pull him away by 3 seconds. So as we get closer and closer to the end of the race, it's going to get harder to him. He needs to really get back or to pull his best form to claim himself the win today. It's going to be a very, very hard task, as Swiffer is taking advantage of the slipstream to keep himself away from El Nabu. This bit of a train, Kosia, Swiffer, El Nabu and McFloppy are all taking DRS off of each other, apart from the train leader, if you want to call him that. That is the Lithuanian of the Ferrari. But yeah, looks like everything is stable for the time being, as Swiffer just hits the wall. We are going to jump to El Nabu just to monitorize the gap there, as Colin and Leclerc had a squabble for 10th place. Colin is on his first lap on ultra softs and claims the last point pings position from COR Leclerc, the second of the Renaults, as we have Sloppy going on the inside of turn number 7 and claims the position from the Portuguese, is demoted to P5. Let's say that because I'm guessing Swiffer is going to let his teammate pass rather soon. Of course, Sloppy wants to take that extra bit of slipstream. Swiffer, it looks like he doesn't have DRS on Kosia, or from Kosia, so it's going to be interesting to see. We have El Nabu hopefully trying to maximize the exit, as he's going to have DRS, he's going to have the slipstream on Swiffer. Swiffer is taking slipstream off of Sloppy, but doesn't look like that's going to be too effective. Just enough, though, for is he German? I believe he is German. Yes, the German driver of the Alfa Romeo, to maintain himself in P4 as we have someone going round. I don't know who that was. We're also jumping for this battle for P10 between Bottas and Colin. Bottas is battling once again into the chicane after battling Weasley, is now battling Colin. Bottas is going on his 22nd lap on a set of super softs. If this man isn't close to getting a puncture, this man is a weirdo, a wizard of tire conservation. He could be pitting by now and still comfortably taking ultra softs to the end, because yes, on paper the ultra softs only last 12 laps, but if you put them on towards the end of the race, the car is lighter on fuel, so the tires might last a bit longer. It doesn't look like he has adjusted to that, and it's just taking maybe he didn't practice starting on the super softs and going on them for this long, I don't know. Or maybe he's not really comfortable on his tire conservation in the ultra softs, so he opted to go very long on the super softs. Let's see how that develops though. Colin is pulling away a lot, already 3.5 seconds, of course. Brand new ultra softs against 22 laps old super softs. The Haas driver has really no chance of defending anything. Looks like everyone is just over 1 second apart, unless we are looking at Williams. Bottas goes into the pits, and I'm going to check on him as Willie buzzes by on his 9th lap on that set of ultra softs. But El Nabu got another 3-second time penalty. That might take a knock at his chances of getting Swiffer. And there we have Bottas coming through the pit exit with a brand new set of Hypersofts. I thought it was Ultra Softs, but the graphic is telling me Hypersofts. So I'm actually surprised that he's trying Hypersofts for 13 laps. Usually the Hypersofts go for 7 laps. Again, he managed those Super Softs very, very well. So, I mean, if anyone can stretch these tires until the end, it's probably going to be Bottas today. It looks like he's been very good on his tires today. Moving up to the sharper end of the field, we have El Nabu. It's not really challenging for a podium like he did at Spain, but he's still going to be satisfied, I would guess, with P5, especially after a disastrous Australian Grand Prix where he was racing in the top 5 but got involved in a sequence of misfortunes, just situations couldn't get out of, and crashes that forced him to retire from the race. So the Portuguese finds himself in P5. He's losing time though to Swiffer. He's losing, it's very it's not much per lap, but it's definitely a gap that is increasing as COR Leclerc on the Renault, his second lap on the Hypersoft tires. As Willie P gets another 3-second time penalty, unfortunately for him. Jumping to Swiffer is, yeah, he can only see his teammate in the distance, so not much really to talk about him. And Sloppy, he has, I believe he has one more time penalty than Koshia, so he needs to be pushing. I don't think it's going to be very hard. It's going to take something very, very special for these two to catch up to Vane. So, yeah, Vane, I don't know where he pitted, or if, I believe he started on the Ultra Softs and he's going for the Super Softs at the end. So yeah, Vane has made the one-stop work. And yeah, he's really, it looks like he's going to take the win. Again, you can never count. He's been quite, he has not had much TV time, if I can call it that. He hasn't had much screen time, so it's been quite low-key this race. But look at that, it's a 10-second to Koshia, and Colin gets another 3-second time penalty. Unfortunately for him, what is it, the 4th, maybe the 5th 3-second time penalty for the Force India driver. That might knock him off of the top 10, as Magnet is, speaking of 3-second time penalties for the Force India drivers, Magnet looks like he doesn't want to miss out and is trying to collect all the penalties along with his teammate, which again, I mean, I don't believe they are really desirable in a race like this, as El Nabu gets a 3rd second penalty, a 3rd 3-second time penalty, and that's probably it for his chances at getting himself maybe in the top 5, because Marcel Leboeuf once again from this connection to a great race. It's the third time in a row where he disconnects, and he's not even P7 at the moment. He's actually in P6. Calipos looks like, I believe he's quicker than the Canadian, and he's coming down and closing the gap down, I would suppose, because I believe that Ferrari driver is a quicker driver. But Marcel Leboeuf is going to be benefiting from the slipstream from Alnabo. Calipos is over 1 second behind, so he really needs to pull off something special to counteract the fact that Alnabo is giving DRS and the slipstream to the Canadian driver, who's on pace to get his best result of the season so far. Alnabo is going to be really a sitting duck, as there you have DRS wide open. You can see the blue bar on the display of the steering wheel depleting as he uses all of his ERS to get himself past Alnabo, and there you have it. The Portuguese gets demoted to P6. He already has 3 time penalties, so yeah, I don't think it was much of a point in battling that one. That would only cost him time to cars that might be behind. So we are going to jump to Calipos, who's now under a second from Alnabo. I'm not sure if Alnabo clipped a wall on the exit of some of these chicanes. Maybe that's why, because Alnabo, he was keeping up with Swiffer in the early stages of this Grand Prix, but he's not anymore. He really dropped off his pace, so I don't know if he has front wing damage from a contact with the back marker or maybe with the wall at the exit of one of these chicanes, but yeah, he's really dropping down. And Calipos just got the arrest on him before the last chicane we went through. We couldn't make an overtaking maneuver happen, but he's going to get the RS as we come out of the turn 10 hairpin. You can see once again, pay attention to the bar, the blue bar on the display on the steering wheel is really using a high mode on that ERS. It's not depleting as quickly as Leboeuf's bar was, so Calipos is conserving it a bit more, but still used a fair bit of it to get past the Portuguese as he makes his way to P7, as we have Willie P in the pits for a set of Viper Softs. I don't think he's really in contention for the top 10. Maybe he just wants to have the bragging rights of the fastest lap of the race. But let's see how that goes. Scotia, in the meantime, I've missed this and I apologize to you guys, but Scotia has been overtaken by a Sloppy McFloppy and is already 1 second behind. I'm going to try and take a look at these broadcast cameras to see if it was just a driving mistake that he went into the wall, maybe. No, doesn't look like any front plates are missing on the front of that Ferrari, so maybe just going straight in a chicane or something, or maybe got held up by any back markers. The truth is, the American driver already pulled away by over a second. Maybe he was conserving more fuel and energy to the end of the race, but I don't think they're going to be able to catch Vane, who's been like, it's a very clean, just did his job, got cleanly through the first couple laps, got himself up to P3. Recycle Finn, who was probably the man who was contesting him for the quickest drivers in the one stop, got knocked out of the race in the first sector of the race. So yeah, Vane was really got himself his way paved for a win. As quick as Sloppy is not going to breach 6 seconds in the first race. Sorry, not in the first race, in the remaining 2.5 laps that are left to be done until the end of the race here in the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, or the Circuit de Montréal. It could also be called by that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Kosha gets back at him. The way the gap has been developing doesn't tell us that though, so we are going to take a look down the pack, and no, I don't really see anyone getting closer to any other driver apart from Marcel Leboeuf. He might actually get himself in the top 4. I don't know if Marcel has any penalties to his name. I know Swiffer has at least one. Oh my god, we have one of the Williams in the wall. Was that Taxi? I'm going to bet on Taxi Tundra. Yes, Taxi Tundra went on to the Wall of Champions and lost the entire front wing. Look at that. That's not how the front end of an F1 car should look at the moment. So yeah, he's going to struggle. He might even get caught out by the lack of grip and just crash out altogether, as we have the Mercedes, and there was contact And I bet that was El Nabo. Yes, it was El Nabo. We had contact there. We saw a front wing end plate flying off of that McLaren. So not really the best awareness from Taxi Tundra there. He maybe could have gone to the inside of the track as early as he got past the corner. He went through the racing line, and of course El Nabo was always going to be much quicker through there. But yeah, wow. Well, jumping to the battle for P4 between Cipher and Marcel Leboeuf. Again, I don't know if Marcel has any time penalties. Oh boy, that was a bit later on the brakes than he would have liked to. He had to brake for a bit longer than Swiffer to avoid the rear end of the Sauber. But at the moment, he didn't really he just wasn't able to get the move quite done, as I think Vane just got a 3-second time penalty. We could have a race here for the win. Sloppy Mafloppy, I don't know. No, actually not, because Sloppy has more than one penalty. I'm sorry about that. I just pulled off a crofty moment there. I apologize for that. But yeah, Vane got a warning, but nonetheless, he's just going to get himself through corner number 10. As I'm really looking for Marcel. I think he's going to get the maneuver done at the last chicane, or before the last chicane. Exactly where Vane is where Marcel is going to start getting his overtaking maneuver done, I believe. So there we have it. Vane from, what was it, P5 on the starting grid, P4, P5. He got himself clean of the first corner incidents, got himself a very clean race, and he crosses over the line to take home the win of this Canadian Grand Prix. It's going to be Sloppy Mafloppy in P2, Kosha P3, Swiffer maintains himself in P4, no, there's contact, and Marcel Leboeuf gets on the exit, a bit of a switch back there, and gets himself third place. What a race from oh boy Marcel Leboeuf. He got himself a disconnection, and from that he comes back and picks up the pieces of others' misfortunes with their penalties, and he gets himself P3, Kosha P4, Swiffer P5, then we have Kalipos in P6, El Nabo P7, then we have Weasley and Colin. They are very close. Colin probably isn't battling for this position because of the time penalties, but they crossed the line in 8th and 9th. Let's see what Leclerc maybe could get 1 point and score 2 points for the championship instead of just 1, depending on how many seconds of penalties Colin has. As is going to cross over the line and get himself in P9. So what I thought as possible got confirmed, and Bottas couldn't capitalize on those penalties. He had a couple of his own, so it closes the order in 11th. He was the last car to cross over the line, and there you have it for this race. We are going to get ourselves in the podium, as it is the second race winner in 3 races. Of course, the man who was unstoppable through the first 2 races got himself involved in an accident that put him out of the race. I mean, it didn't really put him out of the race. He could have gotten back, but he left the session. So I don't know if he was expecting the car to be just done in pieces and he wasn't able to come back. He only had front wing damage. He could have still salvaged some points, especially if he kept it clean and without any penalties. But that's how it goes. He decided to just leave the session, and unfortunately is not going to be awarded any points. As there you have it, the second race winner of the season goes for Vane, as the Turkish driver takes home the top step of the podium, as is alongside the American Sloppy McFloppy in his first race in this season, the defending world champion. Well, he really showed how good he is, right? He did a suboptimal strategy, but still at the end was 3 seconds, just about 4 seconds rather, away from Vane. So that's a testament to his pace and how good that one is. So getting ourselves, I don't know if we're getting lag or whatever. I can't get the full, okay, the game looks a bit slow at the moment. But yeah, there you have it. At the end, yeah, just over 3 seconds from Vane, despite having an entire pit stop. Despite having an entire extra pit stop. So That's just how it goes. That proves how quick he was. As Marcel Buff claims himself P3, Kosha in P4. We are not getting the time penalties, unfortunately. But we have Swiffer in P5, Kalipos P6, El Nabu P7 after starting 6th on the grid. He improved. He was on the podium battle for a while. He was battling Swiffer and the other guys, but unfortunately the race wasn't as good for him as it was for others. Then we have Weasley from 11th to P8. Respectable 8th place for the Williams driver, as COR Leclerc comes from 15th to 9th, and Colin, not having the greatest of races, riddled with time penalties. He started in 7th, but couldn't avoid claiming only 1 point and at the end of this Grand Prix. So this is it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like button. If you did not, the dislike button is, as always, right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hit the bell icon for any notifications of whenever I'm about to start a live stream or to post a video if you are on YouTube. If you are on Twitch, a follow would be greatly appreciated. Hope to see you guys next time, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.